doing?
Yeah, it's good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good morning, actually. So,
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I've been up for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate that's awesome, Jeff. I appreciate you being a part of this OPSM podcast. On the left of the screen, we have Jesse Falanga, who's also an OPSM rep, is part of the family. And then at the bottom of the screen, we have Jeff Paulus from FC Edmonton in the CPL. So, Jeff, thank you for joining us in the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so talk to me. How's things going right now with quarantine, and how are you doing, and how's it with the team?
Yeah, we're doing the best we can to keep the team going, in this time. At online tactical sessions, we've gone through a few weeks now, well, probably 4 weeks of how we're going to play football this year, changing our some of our systems for sure, and to utilize the players we've brought in. But so we've been doing our tactical analysis on our own team, and then now what we're doing is we're analyzing the opposition. So we spent a week looking at Forge and some of Bobby's kind of traits and tendencies, and then we're also now this week we're into Calvary. So we're going to do all we can, take advantage of the time that we have, that we can do some of this video work with the players. We've got them involved, so our athletes are actually. Every player has to do a scouting analysis on someone on another team that they're going to play against. They've all done the player on Forge. Some of them come up against in 1v1 scenarios on the pitch. Now they're doing their player, same idea on Calvary. So, all said and done, we'll have quite a bit of work in. They're doing online workouts as well. We've got online yoga now starting for them on top of the online workouts. They're running every day. So doing our best to keep their minds on football.
Obviously, Coach, it's a bit of a disadvantage not being on the pitch, but is there an advantage towards, is this giving you guys more time to prepare? Is it advantageous in that sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think, as crazy as it sounds, I'm busier right now than I would be if we were actually on the field, on the training ground. And just as you said, it does give us a chance here where, because we're changing some of our systems, a lot of our systems actually, and just kind of changing the way that we want to play football, that the use of video work has been beneficial to the team. And we get online, 3 times a week, we're online, and we're breaking down certain aspects of the game, in different areas of the pitch. We're looking at some of these different platforms we're going to play out of, some of our different rotations we're going to use. And some of it, it's great for the players to see, because some of it's going to be some complicated movement, I think. Well, not complicated, maybe just different. And, so it's good for them to see it on video first. When we hit the field, we should hit the field running, we'll have all this in our minds and be able to, things I think will make more sense when we're actually now passing the ball around and moving pieces for real.
That's sense. Now, you said something about yoga. I got to ask, will you be participating?
No, I won't be.
Not that flexible anymore, is it?
No, not anymore. Yeah. I can still touch my toes. I guess that's something, but and I can still see my toes, so that's good as well. Staying somewhat fit, I guess, but
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, before we get into nitty gritty, I gotta ask about your Twitter handle. I gotta ask about the quote. Anyone can hold the helm when the sea's calm. What's that about? Where'd you get it, and who is that directed to? If anything.
You know what? Directed at everybody, I guess.
Oh, yeah?
But mostly myself. Myself. I learned a lot about myself last year. I learned areas certainly that I felt I've let myself down. Just in who I am as a person, I let some of the stresses get to me and maybe kind of change who I was a little bit down the stretch. And I find that moments of adversity reveal true character. And I've always believed that, I was a sailor, of course, in our Navy for 7 years. So there's also kind of there's a naval thing in that quote I've selected, but it's easy to, it's easy to be a leader when things are going great and things are going well,
Wonderful.
And that's in anything in life, I think, any business, any company. I think that's just a leadership mentality. And yeah, so it's as much for other people, but really, whenever I go on Twitter, I know that's there, and it's a reminder to myself that you have to stay true to who you are, and you got to deal with stress and losing streaks and things like this. So yeah, it's a good quote.
It's mindful. So we like to give our viewers a little bit of a introduction to the coaches that we speak to, give them some idea about who they are. So give us a bit of background about your beginnings in football and how this whole journey came about.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. I like to believe that I'm the example of that non-professional playing pathway that's now available to any Canadian coach. That because there's more coaches in Canada similar to me, similar to the ones that have a professional playing career, like Jimmy, for example. So, it started off at the age of 6. My dad put me in hockey like every other young Canadian kid, and I hated it. It was an outdoor rink. I was 6 years old. I was freezing and I couldn't skate. So that is one of the last time. Yeah. So I never played hockey since. That was one day, one on ice experience, and it was my last experience. So, and then I think that at some point that year, we had a guy move into our neighborhood, a family from Scotland, Colin Groves, him and his brothers and family, and of course, all he knew was football, and him and I became, friends at a very young age, and I adopted that game, and that's all I've ever played since, and been involved in. I mean, I play pickup games, and I'll play every sport for fun, but it's really been my sport for a long time. And then, I was growing up. I played club soccer, Wexford, St. Albert, an old club called Woburn that's probably not there anymore. St. Albert's not there anymore, or St. Andrews. Sorry, not St. Albert. That's where I live now. St. Andrew, they're not there anymore either. But Wexford's still around, which is great to see. And it was through that club that I realized probably in high school, I wanted to get a scholarship to the States. It wasn't going to happen. And, probably just a lack of dedication, a lack of real discipline to the game to make it to any high level that you have to have, And so I got into coaching at the age of 20, but my idea of getting into coaching really started while watching two brothers actually coach my brother's team, Tom and James Croft. And you probably know Tom Croft, actually. He's been a fixture in Ontario soccer for a long time.
Yeah.
But he kind of is really the one that I think inspired me initially to want to get into coaching, just watching how he was with the players. I've seen different coaches. Of course, you get a lot of, UK-based coaches growing up in Ontario way back in the day. And that's all there was. But then, so there was a mentality there and a real, maybe a military mentality in a lot of them, a majority of them back then. And Tom was different. Tom was different. His players played for me. He had great players in his team. My brother, was a very good player. And but they had Tommy Kuzmanis on that team and Vito Pauletta and, Jamie Anglin. So they had some good young players. And just watching how he interacted with this team and got the best out of them. They were one of the best teams in the country, probably. That really probably sparked my passion. I joined the military, but I stayed playing, and then I really started coaching in Nova Scotia and Halifax, the coaching course with Stephen Hart, and that was it. I was sold in the game, and so I've been coaching it now for, I guess, 30 years.
Now, your Wikipedia says you were a ball boy in the NASL for a little bit.
Yeah, I was.
Do you have any stories, any memories from that?
No, you know what? Just actually, being probably self-conscious, actually having to run and get a ball and make sure I didn't trip. Well, I think that was it. But
you were on TV.
A crazy story though is I've probably, and I wouldn't have known it at the time, but having been Colin Miller's assistant here for 5 years and still a great friend of mine, Colin, and fantastic colleague, but I was probably a ball boy for him. He was playing for the Blizzards, or he would have been there, at some point, even with Hamilton. But yeah, so I was probably I probably shagged one or two of his errant passes.
It's a smaller world than we think it is, eh?
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So, Coach, your military life took you away from football for a bit of time, or did it? And how were you able to maintain that passion or maintain that, being in football while you're such an intense,
Yeah, the one nice thing about the about the military is they do value athletics, and so there is opportunities. I played on the base team, in Halifax was where I was mostly stationed. So I played on the base team, and then I got into coaching the base team as well. Every ship had a team, and we had inter-ship competitions when the whole fleet was in. But even on, one of my best experience in football, at any level or anything was, I was on a NATO tour so that's when, you've got about 6 countries, each have one warship that's part of this NATO fleet. And you're a ready task force. And if there's something were to happen in the world, this fleet could actually be prepared to sail there. But you learn to work together. You learn to work with different militaries. So every port we went to, there was always a competition, and every warship had its own team. And of course, when you're sailing with the Brits and the Germans and you know, the Spanish, for example, yeah, they've got good players, you know, and good teams. So we had a team. There's another player out of Toronto, Patrick Lambert, and him and I were, you know, best friends, and he was a good player, and another provincial level player. And so him and I, you know, and there's a couple others that could play a bit. We had a decent side for a Canadian ship, I have to say. And so we would compete. I mean, we would lose. You know, it was always Germany, England in the final. All these different little events. But after I think our fourth port visit, there was a captain on the British ship, and he formed a NATO all-star team, and he selected kind of the top players from a few of the ships. And so myself and Patrick got selected from our ship, and so every port from that point on, we got to play against local club sides, you know, not professional teams, but local clubs and local and senior programs. So we had a blast with that, and that I have to say is one of my best footballing experiences, you know, because that, of course, your sailors at the end of the day. So after every game, you know, port, there's always a party, and there's a lot to remember, but. Yeah, you know, the Navy gave me a chance because I really got to get my feet wet in coaching, and because I became a player coach on the base team as well. You know, so when you're 20, whatever, 25, 26, and you're getting to coach a little bit on the base team, and you know, it really drove me. And then I took my first coaching job in Halifax for Halifax County United, the U14 boys team, and some good players there too. And, yeah, just trying to think of some of the names, Adam Downey and a few. Anyhow, a few more names will come to me, but a good team. And so the military really, I think, is what kind of gave me that push, because it gave me the chance to get into coaching. It gave me the chance to still have time to coach a youth team, and that's kind of where I met Stephen Hart and got to do some coaching courses there. So the Navy was a big part of my football development as well, believe it or not.
What position were you?
That's the beauty of football. It's hard to escape, huh?
Yeah, I tell you what. And position. You know what? When I was all growing up through youth, I was a left winger, left-footed. I used both. You know,
nice.
I think it's the last. I was fast. I was like seriously the fastest white guy you've ever seen. I'm telling you. And I was quick.
So,
yeah. You're a goal scorer, or you're more of a person that would put the ball in the block?
More of a crosser. Honestly, they would just seriously. It wasn't even. They would just honestly play a ball down the wing for me to run onto and just run past people and get the ball in the box. The guys had a bit of talent, you know. My only talent was speed. That was it. And yeah, that was my only talent. So, but then as I got older, you know, the speed starts to go, and then you start jumping off the skill positions, and I ended up being a center back. So there you are. You know,
crazy how those things work.
That's
now.
awesome.
How much did your education help you towards coaching? I know you were a sociologist and also you had a Bachelor of Education, I believe. How much did that help you?
You know, I think it's a lot. You know, I have to say, you know, I think all my experiences in my life have really kind of formed, you know, my leadership style and who I am as a person. And, you know, I think the military, you see different types of leadership, for example, and you have like the hardcore military type, but then you have the leaders who are real leaders, you know, the ones that the captain of a warship that would be standing beside you helping load the ship, you know, passing. Loading a ship takes 5 or 6 hours, you know, putting stuff on there for a long tour. So, you know, so I learned a lot about leadership there. And then I went into the my education side of it, though, you know, just learning how to, I think, deal with young people, you know, being a teacher. I was a teacher for 8 years. You know, I think that teaching and coaching are the same thing, and there's no secret why now you see, you know, Jason DeVos and Canada Soccer really embracing kind of teaching methodologies and working with young players or teaching young kids, and what does some of that methodology look like, because that's what we do at the end of the day. You know, we do it with a ball instead of you know, a piece of chalk, but same idea. So yeah, and then, you know, and the sociology aspect is good, only because I would have to say, you know, sociology looks at the community as opposed to psychology, which is just one person. And I think that you have to embrace that when you're working, whether it's in a classroom or you're working with a team of, you know, even professionally, you're working with 22 players and you can only make 11 happy on game day.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with the other 11? You know, so. Yeah, so I think all that helps, you know. I've got a pretty open idea on leadership, and you know,
Are you the type of raw coach, military style, or are you
no.
authoritative and directive?
I am not I'm not a rah coach at all. You know, yeah, again, you know, outside of a couple moments where I felt I let myself down last year, I think from the stress of losing streaks, and you put so much pressure on yourself. And, and of course I had, you know, I had in the team had such high expectations last year. And, you know, the fact that we didn't achieve those, I hold my hand up to that. You know, I always take responsibility, but my leadership style is, you know, I've got a leadership group on the team that I meet with every Monday morning, you know, during the season, just to get a sense of where they're at. I share ideas. Players are welcome to share their ideas with me. At the end of the day, I've got to make a decision if I like the idea or not. But, you know, I truly believe that this is a game, you know, where I get to do my work Monday to Friday, but on a Saturday, once the players cross that line, the game belongs to players. It doesn't belong to coaches. And we put so much on the coaches, you know, and coaches get to sit here and talk about the team and be the one front and center, but it's a players game. And I try to have that mentality, you know, in my dealings with players. And I don't always get it right. You know, I had a couple relationships I let go the wrong way last year, and I'll take responsibility for some of them for sure. And, you know, but it's, you know, you learn every day. Even at my grand old age of 50, I learn every single day. So,
because let's get into then your transition into coaching. What was the motivation? I guess, how did it happen that you moved to Edmonton and started all your work there?
Well, my new wife, I heard this story a couple times because I came out here with my first wife, and yeah, my first wife was a nurse in the military, and she got posted out here to work at the local base. So I followed her out, and you know, I like to say I shouldn't have, but I did.
But as chance would have it.
Yeah, I came out here. I got a teaching job, but yeah, the move out here, that was it. I mean, my first wife was posted here, military posting, and ended up here. And then, but you know, once I got here, things just worked out. You know, I got a teaching job right away. I was able to do my final practicum out here because I was at Acadia in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. And well, she was out here working, and then you know, I think a year after being out here, maybe two, she had left. We had separated. I stayed. She left, and but things have worked out. You know, soccer's worked out for me here. So I worked for St. Albert Soccer. Got to meet a guy named Graham Wood, who's just, you know, such a father figure to me, such an important person in my life, and really has had the biggest impact on my coaching has been Graham Wood. And then from there, of course, I got to work in different environments, provincial program, the National Training Center for Canada Soccer, and working with Sean Fleming in that, coach a college team here, and met my new wife here. So a lot of good has happened to me since moving out west.
And so then how did you get from Canada Soccer to FC Edmonton that was in the NASL at the time?
Yeah, so I mean, the team had just kind of reformed in 2010. The team had really started. At the time I was coaching Nate at the time. I was also coaching with Kevin Passon, Edmonton Scottish. I was Kevin's assistant coach with the senior men. And they've got a great senior men's program there at that club. And so there's a fellow by the name of Joe Petroni, and Joe Petroni is really a legend of football in Edmonton. He's been involved in every kind of incarnation of professional football. He's always been the guy that's tried to make it work. And, you know, I don't think Joe Petroni gets enough credit, you know, through professional soccer circles in this country for how much of his time he's devoted to trying to make professional soccer work in this city. You know, he wanted to start an academy. He convinced Tom and Dave Fath that it was a good thing to do. And I think I was doing so much work. I was running a high school academy where I was teaching. And, you know, so I had a program I built. I think we had about 80 kids in our program. So he would come and see me train these kids every day, you know, because he also lives where I live in St. Albert. He would see me training these kids all the time. I was working at NTC as a staff coach, having a lot of success at the college level with our teams. And so he approached me, you know, and asked if I'd be interested in starting the FC Edmonton Academy. And I'd be kind of the second assistant. We had Harry Sinkeloven and Hans Schreiber were the two first team managers. Harry, the head coach, of course. And so I got to work with those two for a year and kind of learn their methodologies. But that's what came about. It was Joe Petroni offering me a chance to come in and start an academy at this club. And, you know, I did the first year. I was on leave of absence from teaching. My school board, the St. Albert Public School Board, was fortunate, or very good of them to give me. I think they ended up with 5 years of leave of absence from teaching from them. Yeah, to keep doing this. And then I had to make a choice. I went back to see what teaching was going to be like again, just to see. And I realized that I didn't want to go back to teaching.
Ran back to football.
Yeah, football's where I want to be. And but why wouldn't you? I mean, if you love the game, you get a chance to make this your paycheck, you know. But yeah, so Joe Petroni is how it's all worked out for him. I have to say, he's the reason.
What was the positive things or the good things about the NASL when you were in there?
Yeah, there's a lot of good things about the NASL. I'm not sure if people in CPL want me talking about the NASL, but
we're gonna get into CPL.
No, it's all good. It's I think the NASL. It's a shame that it ended because you know, I think that the NASL came out a couple years sooner than it should have. You know, when you look at what it was trying to do, because really, you know, it was going to be a league that wanted to mirror football around the world. You know, where it wasn't going to be single entity. You know, contracts weren't going to be owned by the league, for example. And you know, so that league offered a chance for really high level players. There were some top players in that league, and the only difference for me between the NASL and MLS at the time was that they had DPs, and we didn't. And if we had DPs, and if we could have, because you know, certainly Miami and the New York Cosmos, they would have competed against any team in the MLS financially, and they would have, you know, I mean, they brought in Rule, they brought in Senna. Yeah, their age was their age, but they were still the class, and then just all their qualities. I mean, when you're on the pitch watching them play, you know, I mean, it's probably terrible for me to say, but I've got a signed Rule jersey downstairs. So after a game, I had to get one. I got their equipment guy to get it for me, so I wasn't running up as a fanboy. But
that's funny.
You know, but yeah, but that league was so I think that league was good for football because you know, it was going to be an open market league. It was going to be the teams determine their kind of direction and how they wanted to run things. Of course, Miami, I mean, they paid $750,000 transfer fee for Richie Ryan. You know, so that's what that league was about. They were going to do things like World Football, and I think it's a shame that league stopped working. You know, I think, you know, a couple of owners were you know, when they decided to go USL and kind of drop that bombshell on the other owners last minute, it didn't give them a chance to kind of save the league. And yeah, tough for us because we were, you know, when Ottawa left, we were kind of the lone Canadian side, and our travel was unbelievable expenses. But I have to say, I mean, I am a huge fan of what that league tried to do. And again, you look at some of the players that played in it, there's some quality. I mean, we had some good teams last year in our league for sure. And you look at Forge and the type of football Bobby has them playing, beautiful. I mean, I love it. You know, Calgary, they've got their style with Tommy, different obviously than Forge, but just a really effective, you know, team that just can get a result and built to get results. But and I say this with no criticism to any of these teams in our league, but Miami was a special team to watch play. They were just another level. And, you know, it'll take us a bit to replicate that, I think, you know, but yeah, I'm a fan of the NASL. I was sad to see it go.
Yeah, Jeff, to kind of rewind back, when you were the FC Edmonton Academy director and making that transition to the professional situation, how was that transition there where now, you know, you're the academy director and now you're scouting for players, like that, you're in a whole new world now in the professional setting. That was, I guess, your first professional gig in the sense?
Yeah, head coaching wise, for sure. You know, I was fortunate with the academy here. When Colin Miller came in, I became his assistant coach, and I was really fortunate. I thought it was a good thing for the club because, you know, obviously I'd work with the first team players in the morning with Colin, and then in the afternoons I'd have my academy kids come in. I'd be directing that program. Plus I also coached our U18s at the time. So I really had the best of both worlds, you know, and as the assistant coach too, and it's less stressful as the assistant, obviously. And, you know, and I mean, you can make a good living and a good career as an assistant coach if you're loyal and trustworthy, and because you get to be there for the players. And I think, so the interesting thing when I got the job in 2019, I mean, I've been a head coach at the college level before, but a different stress, different. And, you know, I think the one part that was an eye opener for me, and I think part of my growth now as a head coach has been that because I mean, when I was the assistant coach, we graduated a lot of players from our academy into our first team over the years. You know, you look at Milan Roberts and that first group of players,
Yeah.
you know, Sadi Jalali and Marco Alexic, who are two players that, you know, I really feel for these guys because they could actually be dynamite in this league. And, but, you know, so I was able to be, as the assistant coach, I mean, I was able to kind of bring them in, keep my arm around these guys and really care for them because they were my players, you know, in the academy for so many years, and to see some of them before that. So you have a different relationship. When I became the head coach, I realized that there has to be, you know, I still want to care for all my players, and I don't want that to change. But you have to be careful as well that you let your judgment sometimes be clouded by your emotion and by your heart.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's probably for me my biggest growth as the head coach now, especially coming to year 2, is just finding that balance. You know, yeah, I've got a soft spot for my academy guys. I always have, and at the end of the day, you know, maybe I'd rather be like that than not like that. But yeah, that was probably the biggest thing. It's a different leadership required. It's a different mentality when you're dealing with players that you've known for so long and that you emotionally really care about. So it's yeah, that was an interesting step for me.
Yeah. So what would be like for you? I know you're big on your academy players, like you touched upon, and you know, what about the ones that are looking to go professional and, you know, they can't really make that jump right away into the CPL? What other player pathways would you say for those academy players that, you know, they want to make that jump, but then they're like, you know, they're not quite there yet? What would be the next player pathway for those types of players?
Yeah, so I mean, this is one. It's amazing because we have this now, you know, our youth sport partnership, and I love it because, you know, I know what's in my mind when I sit down and draft these players, and then you know, we're all human, and you read the headlines or you read some of the stories, and, you know, people are always kind of criticizing, you know, what FC Edmonton does on youth sport draft day, but my you know, for us, we've had these players come through our program. You know, they hit that grade 12 year. They're now graduating. We have to make a choice: are we going to give them a first team contract or not? Obviously, it's going to get harder to get a first team contract as the level of the league improves. Plus, it's on so many spots. And so what we've done is we're using this youth sport partnership as a real advantage to us because we also have a 20 program now that plays in the Alberta Major Soccer League. So what you saw at this last draft, I selected Jake Bosch and David Chung. These are two players that have come through our program. We're very, very high on, and not quite ready to be professional footballers in 2020 or 2019. And when they graduated, they went to University of Alberta, both of them. However, we see them as real potential players for us once they graduate. And so what we do is we encourage it. We send them there. We draft them. We're going to draft local. I mean, I've not hidden that at all. We are going to draft our ex-academy players in youth sport, and because we know them and they know us, and there's a culture and that's why I love academies, because you develop a culture to the club when you have an academy that you don't get if you're just going to go and handpick and choose players from all around and bring them in. You know, I think that piece is missing. So for us, this other pathway is this youth sports system, and not only do we get to continue with their development because they'll play the university season, and then as soon as that's done, they come back into our U20 program. At that point, train with us 4 times a week. We've got the gym set up, we've got nutritionists, we have all these things set up for our U20s. So, and then they train with our first team all summer, and then they go back to university. And at some point, if we think they're ready to go pro, and if they want to go pro, then we can make that decision within that 4-year period, or if a player wants to finish their education and we think they're going to be a first team player, then we can also go down that route, and we can work with them every single summer until they graduate, and then at that point make a decision on where we're at as a team, and they're still fit for the first team. So there's a really nice plan B, you know, for young players, and it's in particular the way that we've set up our kind of draft strategy. We want to keep, you know, we work with some of our kids for 3 years or 4 years. And I think that just because you've not signed them when they graduate out of the U18 program or now are at U20s, you know, I think it's a terrible thing to just then say goodbye. And U Sport gives us a chance to continue the development into they're 21, 22 years of age. And then maybe CPL will be, at least for the next few years, I think CPL is going to be a great option at that. But again, as the league gets better and the level of play increases, it becomes more challenging to come straight from university to pro.
Which I wanted to just go back a bit, just back on the journey a little bit. That during that time period between the NASL and CPL, what was that like for you guys as a club, managing or trying to figure out, what the future was for FC Edmonton?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we have an owner here that's been so dedicated. Owners Tom and Dave Fath is so dedicated to the team and to the city, and so for us, we kept the academy going in 2018. So that was an off year for us. Obviously, we had left the NASL after 2017. But 2018, though, we kept our academy going. So I still had a full-time job basically, and that's the year that I also looked at, when I considered, will I have to go back teaching? Because I didn't know about the CPL at the time. There was rumors.
Yeah.
Tom had not shared with me that he was considering it, although he had long been in talks with the CPL ownership groups, I guess, to get in. I didn't know that. So, so I was still managing our academy full time. I started teaching again for one semester, which is when I realized I didn't want to teach anymore. I have a lot of respect for teachers, though, especially right now during this this pandemic. I mean, honestly, they're doing fantastic work. But yeah, so for 2018 it was kind of a weird year for me. Doing both. Thankfully, again, we had the academy going, so I never felt I was really out of professional football. Although we never had a pro team, but we still had maintained that academy. And then Tom called me in and let me know that that we are going to go this route, and that made giving up teaching that much easier as well. Especially once he offered me the head coaching job. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you look at the success Calgary had with because they brought a really good number of their PDL players with them. So that was a team that was, I mean, a lot of it's coaching, Tommy for sure, but that's a team that they just had so much chemistry, right from the get-go, and they just played a fairly competitive season. So they hit the ground running, and I wish had we played in 2018 and got to carry over a large portion of our roster, especially if it was an NASL level roster, then I wouldn't say we'd have better players, because I really fancied the players we had here last year, and but we would have had a different chemistry on the pitch.
Now, you guys had a fairly young team last year, if I can say. Talk to us about how that maybe affected performance throughout the year.
Yeah, so we were kind of a lot of teams, I think, were that kind of that medium, that 23, 24 average. We had some of my NASL guys were, of course, James Marsland, 32, Ramon Soria, I think, hit 30, Tommy Amiobi, 30. So we had that kind of core group. Kareem Moses, is 20. I think he's 20 to 29 now. So we had that kind of NASL group that was older and experienced. I wanted to come in here and be the leaders. Of course, brought in Tony Chaney during the second window. But injuries just prevented him, because really Tony would have been, I mean, hands down the top player in the league, I have to say. He was a good player. And so we made a choice, though. I guess I made a choice really early. You saw a lot of the teams, they went with those 21-year-olds, because we've got that U21 rule where you have to have 1,000 minutes for Canadians under the age of 21. You saw most teams loaded up with 20-year-olds and players that were hitting 21 that year to satisfy that rule. And I truly believe, I mean, I've been involved in player development in Canada for a long time at different levels, and I believe that if we're really going to develop the next national team players out of our league, then I'm not going to go to the 20 to 22-year-olds right off the bat, for their first professional experience. I'm going to bring in Prince Amanda and Marcus Velado, who are 17 years old. By the time these guys hit 20, they've got 3 years of pro. They're not players that played club soccer until 17 years of age, and then maybe sat on the bench for an Ontario League One team for a year or two. You know what I mean? Like, I want these young kids that they'll be pros at 17, because again, anywhere else in the world, you see 17-year-olds, making it. They're starting to break into the first or second teams. You know, and if they're not, then they're going to struggle to turn pro in a lot of places. So that was my attitude. That is still my attitude here. We've just signed another 17-year-old to our roster, and a 2000 Chance Carter. You know, this kid could be special, actually, I think. And so that's kind of so there's your blend here. We've got that kind of senior group, but yeah, we have all young players, and you know, they're gonna make mistakes in games. They're meant to, but they have to if they're gonna get better. And you've got to have the courage. And you know, I kind of joked about it at one point last year during you know, down the stretch when I decided stubbornly to go back to 4-3-3 at the end of the season. You know, I realized we weren't going to finish first or second. And so then it didn't matter. At the end of the day, only 2 teams are making playoffs, and with about 8 games to go in the season, we knew who's going to be in the final.
Yeah.
So right, and then at that point, I thought it was more important now to look at our young players down the stretch and play the way I want to play football, to see who can do that going forward, than finishing 3rd or 4th or 5th or whatever. It didn't matter. At the end of the day, one team won. One team has a trophy, and that's Forge, and the rest of us came second place. Even Calvary, right? At the end of the day, we have the same record as Calvary, second place. You know, you're not a winner. So, yeah. So you know, it's the so for me, I like the idea of having. I mean, Marcus Vallado is coming to camp this year, and the kid is absolutely flying. He looks quicker than last year, and he's so determined. That's what I want. I want the 18-year-old to play for FC Edmonton. I want the 19-year-old to play significant minutes for FC Edmonton, not because of a 1,000-minute rule, but because they've actually have been given a chance when they were 17. They've accepted that chance, and now at 19, they're showing the country that they can be a national team player, and that they're gonna outgrow the CPL. And so I hope I don't see Marcus Vallado at 20 years old at FC Edmonton. I hope I see Marcus Vallado playing overseas somewhere. You know, maybe he's in Germany, following the footsteps of someone else out of Edmonton. You know,
that's exactly what I was going to base on. Was that the strategic plan, mainly to bring in these young players in order for them to offset the career elsewhere? Right?
It is. And what do we do with these 17-year-olds? And that's the thing. And there's a lot of criticism. And listen, our league does great things. But the one thing I disagree with, and they know this, I'm not saying anything that I've not said to the people in charge, but I disagree with their thoughts on academies and things like this. I mean, where does a 17-year-old, if we're looking for different processes, where does a 17-year-old player go to develop, to become a professional footballer? You know, if we don't have a pro academy. And we can use these other leagues, and they're great leagues. I mean, I'm a fan of Ontario League One, PLSQ. I'm a fan of these leagues. They're wonderful. At the end of the day, though, what's every team in that league trying to do? They're trying to win a game. They're trying to win a championship. No one wants to. Development's not part of the equation. It's if I'm coaching Ontario League One, I'm coaching to win. Right. So for a 17-year-old, I think that I like the way we're doing it. You know, with by bringing them in. We'll continue to. I've got a 16-year-old kid in my academy right now that you know, I would consider signing at some point this year as well. Left-footed central midfield player. The kid's going to be a talent. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, Coach, I was going to ask you. You seem very excited about the young players. I'm a big fan of young players all the time. So I was going to ask, what are the guys? Who are the guys in the team right now? Maybe in the club right now that you're really looking forward to seeing develop in the next few years?
Yeah, so if we say, so we'll keep to young players, and that way I don't upset the senior guys if I don't mention their name. Right? The question is specific to the young guys. And, yeah, but we've got 5 right now. We've got 5 players that are, we've got 2 players that are 2000s, David Doe and Anthony Caceres. David is just this kid that, you know, I think that once he starts to learn the game a bit more, what to do away from the ball. But he has got such physical qualities. His pace is ridiculous. I mean, I remember a game in Hamilton, you know, last year, and it's again they beat us in the first season, the very first game we played in Hamilton. They beat us 1-0, I believe. I brought him on late in that game, and he tore apart Kwame. Tore him apart with pace, honestly. And then, of course, the poor kid, he gets, you know, right in front of their supporters group as well. He gets past Kwame, goes to cross it, misses the ball, and takes himself out. He basically pulled a yellow card on himself. And but the pace is frightening, and you know, his direct play. Anthony Caceres is a kid that started with our academy. I actually recommended him to the Whitecaps at the time, you know, to give him a look, and they did, and they kept him. He's come back to us, and Central American, just so much attitude and intensity on the pitch. Good on the ball, 1v1 player. I'm excited to see what he does. Yeah, because he's different. You know, he's different than a lot of young Canadian players, and also he has that real kind of bit of bite. I love it, because if you stop him 1v1, you better move the ball fast, because he'll kick it. I'm telling you, like he's gonna, you know, he'll take it personal, and I love that. You know, it's gonna take it. Yeah.
That's South American fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And then, you know, Prince Amanda and Marcus Filato, you know, my two wingers, two young white kids. They're both 01s. Chance Carter's an 01, so I've got 3 01s on the team this year. But Prince Amanda, you know, this is a kid that at 17 years of age, came in, no confidence, struggled throughout the early part of the season. But the nice thing about us having an academy, the U20 program, is even though he never had a minute until the 27th game in the CPL, he actually had more game time than about 60% of my roster, because he played every single game with our U20s against senior men. And, you know, so he was getting game time, but a lot of working with him. Senior players on our team are great, helping him out, trying to get his confidence built back up. The kid stayed after training every day and worked at it because he wanted to play. And but he had to earn it. And I mean, I love the young players, and everyone knows that, what I feel about young kids, but I need to make them earn their playing minutes. I can't play them. The 1,000 rule is great, but players have to still earn that 1,000 minutes, I think. And so in the 27th game, the kid earned it. He earned a start, not just be on the bench, but he earned a start through training. 20, you know, he basically made Pacific FC his personal highlight reel film. You know, he scores a goal 24 minutes in. His assist on the second goal we scored in that game was even better than his goal, right? With his footwork and vision. So, you know, he's a kid now that if he can take that moment and bring that into day one, which he's looked really good in camp, for the 8 days we had camp. But if that's his confidence, then we've got a player here. Canada has another footballer on our hands. Marcus Filato is a kid that just is, I mean, the last person who I've seen want it as bad as this kid is Alfonso Davies, and look where he is now. And this kid just wants it so bad. He's hired a personal trainer on his own. We have our trainers, we've got I think, but he also hires a personal one because he wants to do more to get to where he wants to get. And but he is just absolutely buzzing in camp. And then Chance Carter. I mean, I could talk all day about my young guys, you know, I have to say. And Chance Carter is a left-footed player, a holding midfield player, can play as a central defender in a back three, or the left side of obviously the 2 central ones. His distribution is so good, but this kid might already be the toughest tackler on my team.
Wow.
And he's the youngest boy on the team, and he is, he loves to throw a tackle. And a couple of times I have to look away and just hope that the other person gets up, because he's one of our players, you know. And so big. And then in our academy, we've got some really good young ones in our U20 setup. Because our U20s, even though we call it U20s, what we've done now is we've just, you know, because again, you really start to dilute the pool. When you have 60 kids in Edmonton, you dilute the pool. There's not 60 players that are going to go pro. We know that. So we've gone to one group of U20s, but our 15-year-olds playing the Alberta Major Soccer League against men on this team, right? And that we believe that's better for them than playing against other 15-year-olds. No matter what level, you know, I think kids have to experience that against men. And so we've got a 15-year-old right now that's special. We've got a 16-year-old that's special. Both left-footed players. So we've got a keeper that I think could potentially be one of the probably one of the top. He has to be one of the top 2, you know, under 17 keepers in this country right now. And so we're really delighted. He had a chance to go to Vancouver. They wanted him in their program, and he chose to stay with us. You know, he's made that decision, which I'm delighted for. And we also have Lars Hirschfeld coaching him. And so I think we're blessed by having probably one of the best keeper coaches in our country, you know, as well. So, it's I'm really happy. You know, there's some good clubs doing some good work in the city, guys. You know, we've got some young players. There's a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid right now that, you know, that's part of this BTB program here. And they say already, you know, he could be the next. He's better. He is actually well ahead of where Alfonso was at that age. You know, if you believe that. So this kid could be really special as well. But you got. I mean, anywhere in the world, kids are playing. You know, we see 19-year-olds in English Premiership light it up, and we're blown away. Well, I mean, yes, it's different in England than here, but why can't a 19-year-old? It doesn't matter the level. A 19-year-old here, why can't they do it here? When you see it happening at the highest levels, right?
Now, Coach, I gotta ask. I've been to Edmonton. I spent some time there. I was actually there in 2011 when you were coaching at Nate, I believe. So,
right.
I gotta ask. Edmonton doesn't really seem like a football city. Where do the kids come from? What is it about the area really that's been able to give you guys players outside of Davies? I know there's a good football following in Edmonton. What is it?
There is. You know what? I mean, the north side of Edmonton is a great example where there's a lot of immigration, and we've got a lot of African communities here in North Edmonton, for example. And so you're dealing with young kids that just have a passion for the game, and this is what they want to do, right? You don't have with a lot of. There was a kid that came through our program it wasn't in our program, but we took part in a U15 Canada soccer event a few years back. We played against a different, we played Impact and TFC and the Whitecaps, and lost 1-0 to each of them. But kids did really well. But we had a kid there that we brought just to this. I was trying to entice him to come into our program full time. This kid was honestly the best player in his age group. But he was also a really good basketball player, and he was a really good volleyball player, and refused to kind of give up all these other things, going forward. So we've lost a potential, first player, honestly. And I think there's a difference there. And I think so why Edmonton does well is you have a lot of, immigration to our city of kids that this is the sport they want to play, and this is the one that they dedicate themselves to playing. And then they also see now, thankfully, because of Alfonso Davies, what we're seeing now is this real spike in extra training on kids. Like now you see more kids doing extra on their own without a coach. And that's what they have to do. I mean, a coach ain't going to get a player anywhere when they're young. It's the player has to get himself there, And so I shouldn't say it that way. Coaches play a big role, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's really cold in Edmonton. That's one of the things I would forget.
Well, you know what? I laugh, about. I'm not a fan of boarded soccer, and we've had boarded soccer here. We're the only province that plays soccer hockey, and they actually, believe it or not, go watch a training session for one of these. You've seen the boards,
Yes,
they actually work on power plays. Like teams will work on a power play and how to penalty kill. I mean,
I bounced the ball off the board. I was so.
I know. Kick it hard off the end board. First one to get the rebound.
Yeah.
And you see coaches working on this for hours. Training, like. So anyhow, but what I will say though about that game, I probably should give it a little, because again, I obviously want the game as real as it is all the time. We're not blessed with indoor, unless a place like Edmonton, like the Scottish Society and Scottish United on their own, they've built the biggest indoor domed field in Canada. But a club had to do that, and we just don't have access to these large facilities. What I will say though, and I think when you look at players like Alfonso and some of the players that have come through here before his time too, we've had good players. Sean Seiko, FC Edmonton, good player, and Middlesbrough, and before he came back to our club. But I think what the indoor game does though, I think it actually gets them, because that ball just rolls and rolls and rolls. You have to develop good technique to play, and so maybe some of the smaller spaces at the end of the day have actually been an okay thing. Not meaningfully, but I think certainly there's something to play. Maybe in their development. I'm throwing it out there.
Around the world, futsal is a big developmental tool for clubs, whether that's in Brazil, Spain, everywhere. So
I know. Here's an amazing thing. So we just love this indoor soccer, boards, but yet everybody hated futsal in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's different.
You know what I mean? Like, they'd rather work on a power play than actually get kids playing futsal. So there you go.
It's a Gretzky influence.
It's a Gretzky influence.
It's a hockey city. So let's make every sport look like hockey, and we'll get people to sign up.
Coach, going into now your second year in the CPL, for players that are watching this, the recruiting aspect, what are the things that you're looking for players when you're looking for a striker, a midfielder, a defender? What are the things that you really look for when you're you're vetting these players in front of your table?
Yeah. So number one, I mean, as a club, we have to set down how we're going to play and what is our philosophy, going forward. And so the players have to fit our philosophy, and I think, well, I look at last year, and I wanted to play 4-3-3 from the get-go, but I failed to bring in left-footed players. So I had no left-footed players on my left side of the pitch. I want to play 4-3-3. So really good year one coaching. But I think that's number one. They've got to fit your system. There has to be. I mean, I like to look at as much as possible. I try to watch videos of them being interviewed, actually not even playing. Because you're going to see a lot of video on players playing. I'm not a fan of a highlight video, I have to say. Because quite honestly, if I were to take my best 5 minutes of my entire career, I could sell myself.
Pretty great. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not a fan of highlight videos, but what a highlight video does is it piques some interest, it makes you want to kind of watch. But I need to watch games. I'll watch full games of players as much as I can to see them. Yeah, they just have to.
Attitude does, like, personality is a big thing for you, right? Like,
dude, it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has to be. And last year, and again, and I say this quite honestly, quite openly, that by the end of the year, I had maybe with one or two players, my relationship wasn't the best by the end of the year, and I have a big part to play in that again, and how I handle some situations. So, but what I did recruit last year was a group of players that together in the room meshed.
Yeah.
I mean, they got along well. So, so if I made some mistakes, at least I knew the players had each other's back and they had each other, and I'd rather some guys be mad at me as long as the room was tight.
Yes.
And that was, so that has to be part of it. I mean, chemistry is everything. You see Calvary and what that team brings every day and how hard they all work. And, you look at the work that Nico Pasquale does for 90 minutes. This we're talking a kid that makes a run 20 minutes into the game, puts his hands on his hips and looks like he needs a sub. And then he does the same thing in the 78th minute and the 92nd minute. You know what I mean? Like, just working so hard for each other. That's what you need. That culture piece is important. That attitude piece. And again, I think the biggest trick in forming a team is players 12 to 22. Now those players change throughout the season.
Yeah.
Right? A player can go from 18 on your depth chart to 2, depending on how they train. But I think it takes a strong personality and a real confident player to not be in the starting 11 and still maintain professionalism. And so these are things you have to look at. Yeah, because 22 players and 11 play, and we only have 3 subs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys never touching the field every single week. And and that's not for everybody. And also, we're also dealing with players that up until they go pro are the best players in their environment.
Yeah.
Like, these are the players that always play, never come off the pitch. And all of a sudden now they're a pro. And what do you mean? I'm not even I'm not even on the 18.
Yeah, it's tough to take in.
Football, right? But no, so listen, that piece is huge. I mean, they have to be a good player, obviously. They have to fit what you're looking for. We're a salary cap league. So although there's some players that, you look at and you would definitely want to bring in, you're a salary cap league. And then you have to weigh, can I spend the money on that player in that position if I already have this player?
Yeah.
Or do I need to save it? So that obviously plays a role. You have to manage that cap as best you can as well. But yeah, that's the intangible though, Godwin. You're right. The intangible is their personality, their quality of person, their attitude, their self-discipline. I mean, all that stuff is what makes a difference, because they're all going to be good players you're looking at.
100%.
They're all good players. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
How much have you guys benefited from the rivalry with Calgary?
Well, we didn't beat them last year, so not at all.
Have you? Okay, let me rephrase that then.
Listen. Yeah, how much has it benefited Calgary? It's benefited them really well.
In terms of just the rivalry and
no, you're right.
And the environment has been great at FC Edmonton, as you see in the CPL. You can see the environment, the games. Everyone's up for the game, so yeah.
Yeah, really good. You know what? The rivalry is fantastic, because again, we're changing a fan base here that's used to kind of seeing hey, upcoming next week is come watch FC Edmonton versus Jacksonville. Well, people see Jacksonville, roll their eyes and go watch a movie.
Yeah.
They don't come. And Calgary is different. No, it doesn't matter the sport either. I mean, it's great because it's a great time right now because, it's not even just sports, it's even politics, right? They all voted conservative down there. We all voted NDP up here. We were right, they were wrong. Look at our shape right now as a province. So, but yeah, it's everything at the moment. It could be lawn bowling, it could be darts, and it's going to be competitive. And
it's good to hear.
So it's really good. And what was nice about our rivalry with Calgary is the idea of this Wild Rose Cup that they've created, the Supporters Group Cup that they got to lift in front of us, and that was created organically. I mean, that was 2 supporters groups that did that. They talked to Tommy and I in the past. Supporters came up with the name El Clasico. That was organic. Yeah, it can be, people don't like the fact that it's we're just basically stealing El Clasico.
Yeah.
But El Clasico, Alberta Clasico, I liked it because the supporters came up with it. And I think that anytime you get supporters creating rivalry and anytime you get supporters creating these events, it becomes organic and then it becomes real. I think it's things that are manufactured are not real and people see through it. And they don't have the same intensity and the same meaning as something like this that supporters created. So that's really important for us. We obviously wanted to win that last year, but
next year.
At the end of the day, though, that's only cup that they lifted, so they're not that far ahead of us.
Yeah, football is culture, sir. So, we're the time's coming to a close, but we do have a question and answer period. We'd like to put our guests on the spot a little bit. And don't worry, it's not too testing, but it's a little testing. So I'll start us off with one of my favorite questions is Scholes versus Gerrard.
Gerrard.
Ask why?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
So there you go, Jeff. Well,
I'm always going to go there.
I always knew.
So this next question is out the door. Sir Alex versus Pep Guardiola.
Pep.
This is getting hard.
You know why I'm going to say Pep? Because during Ferguson's best years, it was actually Queiroz who coached that team. So Pep coaches his own team. So I'm going to. I just alienated every single Scottish follower that you have. Now cannot stand this interview.
No. If they were FC Edmonton fans, I don't know if they're going to be after this year. So I'm going to ask them the next question. United versus Liverpool.
Liverpool.
This is always a Liverpool thing in the 80s. They were so dominant. This is why?
Always Liverpool for me.
Yeah. Special players.
I'm only happy with 2 results. So Liverpool, every Saturday, Liverpool win and the Man United loss. That's what I want to see on Saturday.
That's tough to hear. I got so many United things on
apologies.
No, it's okay. It's funny. Next one, Xavi versus Iniesta.
Oof. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take either one, wouldn't you?
Oh, you got to. I wouldn't take either if I had to choose one. I would say, you know what, let them go.
Yeah, honestly, flip a coin. Give me either one.
Yeah.
Either one there. Yeah, for Xavi in all the big games is always making the killer pass, and of course, Iniesta is such a joy to watch.
Yeah. That's what it is, that's what it is. They're just special. I mean, what a fortunate time in football for us to football, because we're seeing the best of the best. I mean, every position right now, some of these characters playing. Amazing.
And Del Piero or Totti?
Totti,
that's a good one. We usually get the Del Piero as the answer, but that's you. And then last and foremost, will we have football this year?
I hope so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, we're planning for it. We're planning for it. Maybe it's blocked out stadiums, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I mean, I've got an exciting team here. I've got an exciting team because we kept our defensive core, and I brought in these players like Kevin Ailman and Hanson Boakai and Ro Tito. I mean, we've got some exciting flair players now. And I mean, every guy I just mentioned is stronger than some of the best players that people said were the best players in the league last year. So
exactly.
I'm happy. Yeah, so I want to play.
Now, Jeff, I appreciate you being a part of this podcast. I always say, it's all about building relationships. And I always remember when OPSM, when we first started our agency last year, you were actually the first coach to take the time to sit down, meet with me and go through players. And, you also introduced me to other coaches. So I want to thank you for that. And You know, you are a top guy. So thank you for being a part of this podcast. I
really appreciate it. Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. A bit of fun. So yeah, I love it. I love this stuff. So thank you guys for doing this as well.
Awesome. Wish you the best then.
Okay. Have a good one. Stay safe. Hope your families are all well.
Yeah,
you too.
Yeah. All right, guys.